Zimmerman with Upper Creek Angler, and we're continuing our work through Steve Skues' book, Grayling Flies. This is fly number 33, Skues Nymph number 10. I have a number 12 wet fly hook in the vise. The book does call for this to be tied in sizes 16 and 18, but just for viewing purposes, I have a bigger hook in there so we can see some of the details of the fly as I'm attempting to tie through it. In the bobbin, I have some crimson red thread, and we'll start at midway back and go toward the bend where we'll tie in our tailing material. The book calls for some white hen hackle. A substitute for white hen hackle, if you don't have any white hen hackle, is either on a dry fly saddle hackle. You get some of the really webby, not suitable at all for dry flies on the fringes of the hackle, like I have here. That was on a gold level whiting white hackle, but this is definitely not suitable for dry fly material, but it absolutely will serve the purposes for what we're doing for a tail here. So if you have if you don't have a white hen hackle, but you've got a white hackle of some sort, if you look on the fringes of that hackle, you'll probably find some webby stuff that you can use for a tail. So we'll tie that in and tie the tail in about the length of the gap in the hook, and tie all of that down just to help you out with the taper, so that one, you can save time and save thread wraps in building up a taper. So the very back of this fly is going to be just this crimson thread, and once we get about the midway point up, we will be tying in or loading up the thread with some dubbing, and it's just some moleskin, some mole dubbing, and right about the 2/3 of the way back is where we'll do that after we have finished up our taper. So right about here, I've got a small patch of mole that is admittedly a material that I had never had a need for, but I called my dude Skues Smith up, who is fly fishing and fly tying and conservationist legend in my neck of the world, and I told him a number of materials that I needed for this series, and he had just about everything that I needed, including the moleskin. So we'll take some of this. Don't cut. If you cut, you'll get the big guard hairs. What we want is the under fur for the dubbing. And now we'll just take this moleskin or this mole under fur that we've dubbed on, and advance it forward. And I need a little bit more. Pull out any of the guard hairs that you inadvertently get on. They're not helpful in this fly. And as you see right there, I've got one like that. Get that out of there. And anytime your dubbing starts to clump, you can just pull it down and respin, and you can get a tighter version of the dubbing noodle. The soft tackle for this, the book calls for some jackdaw. That's another material that I don't have, and Squeak didn't have any either. But both of us love starling feathers for for soft tackles, and it seems exceedingly similar to starling in both look and purpose. So I've just subbed in a starling feather for this. I plucked it off the shoulder so that it would give me a little bit longer fiber than some of the ones from around the neck. These starling feathers can be difficult to work with because they, especially the very tips of the stems, can be very delicate. But once you get them going, if you don't break it in the first couple of passes, you're not all that likely to break it. So we just pull these back after we made a couple of passes with it. Snip out the stem and pull everything back and wrap over top, creating a nice little crimson head here. And wrapping over top will also force any of those starling feathers that didn't initially point back to point back. We'll reach in and tie this off with a couple turn whip finish, and this fly is done. Again, this is fly number 33 from the book, from Steve Skues' book, Grayling Flies, Skues Nymph number 10, with a substitution of starling over the jackdaw. So happy tying, and get to fishing.